We do this show each year, but I think it's important. We're talking about category leagues. We're talking about points leagues. What's the difference? How do you judge it? How do you pass the information that you're given to make sure you're getting the right stuff for your particular league? Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I'm taking on a new job. I'm the executive chef at Tallow in Philadelphia, and I'm going to decide we're opening for dinner. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free, and we're available on all platforms, so give it a double bang. Leave your thumbs here below. You can take them back afterwards. Leave comments, subscribe, all that stuff. We did a points league mock draft yesterday. I thought it went pretty well. Again, when I do any of these mock drafts or ranking shows, I want something to be very, very careful. You can criticize me, whatever. I'm very confident in what I do with projections, all that sort of stuff. But you don't know. I don't know. Oh, that's a shocking pick. It's never going to be that good. Okay, but we don't know, right? I think there's a mindset with drafting in general where people look at it and go, well, that's not what happened last year, so therefore it's bad. Things change. Lots of things change. So we've got to really try. I like to look forward. I like to project. You can look at what happened last season. That's fine, but it's a baseline. And I think when we're judging all of this stuff, that's a good way to do it. Now, what this show is about is talking about points leagues and category leagues. Because again, you might see generic fantasy advice. You might see it on my show. You might see it on other shows. You might see it written down. You might see it on Twitter. You might see it on Reddit. You might see someone ask a question. But do you know what the format of the league is? Because it is important and it is useful to know. And then even then, if you find out that it is a points league, what is it? What kind of a points league is it? What is the scoring system? Because these things matter. These things create differences. And if you're going to throw out your own system of scoring, you've got to understand how to pass the information you're given. The majority of shows that get done focus on category leagues. Almost 100% they do. My show leans category, but I would say 85% of the stuff that I talk about covers every league. We do some shows that are category specific, some shows that are point specific, more category specific leagues because I believe there is more to talk about through that, and some that are point specific. We do all of that. We cover all of that on this show. But you've got to understand some of the basics and how we talk about this. Now, there are going to be people who find this show, and I do this show every year. So there'll be things that I say that are repeated and things that I say that are different because I'm not going back and looking at all that stuff verbatim. There'll be someone every year, there's always multiple people who'll be like, hey, I've always played points leagues. I'm playing category for the first time. What do I need to know? Or, hey, I've always played category leagues, but my friends want to play a points league. Yeah, how do I do it? What's the difference? What do I need to adjust? And that's sort of what we're talking about here. It's about taking information you find, whether that is in written articles, podcasts, videos, or in something like when you go onto Yahoo and there's a ranking list. What the hell does that mean? How do I apply that to my league? On ESPN, what are the rankings lists they put out? What do they mean? How do I apply it? How do I tweak it? How do I use the information to make sure it makes sense for what I'm doing? Because it's all well and good to follow someone's expert advice, a term I hate expert. I would never refer to myself as an expert. Hate that term. But if they're talking about something that's just not what you're doing, well, you're going to get cooked. You're going to have no idea because you're making the mistakes that lead to errors. So let's start by talking about points leagues and category leagues, some of the basics that I think we need to get through here. Points leagues in general, before we get excited about this or before we get angry or reactive, points leagues favor scoring the basketball. It is just something that happens. You can tweak formats as much as you want, but always remember this. If you are in a league of 150 players rostered, the average that someone scores is about 18 points per game. The average steals that someone gets is about 1. The average blocks is 0.8. The average assists is 3.5. The average rebounds is about 5.7, something along those lines. Right? If we use those numbers. So, if your Yahoo default scoring, which is what it is, has 1 point per point and 3 points per block, an average player gets 2.4 points for their contribution in blocks and 18 points for their contribution in scoring. So you see what I mean. In order for somebody to have the same sort of equivalent value through their blocks to be as influential, you're talking about somebody who's averaging, as I try to work it out at the top of my head, 6 blocks a game. Now, Wemby might get there, but to be an average contributor compared to an average scorer, you've got to average 6 blocks a game, which isn't happening. So, if you want a general rule in points leagues, and again, it will tweak depending on the way that the league is set up. If someone is a volume scorer and they lack in other areas, Jalen Green, they're going to be more useful in points leagues. Just the way it works. It's almost impossible for it not to be. Unless you go into a situation where every block is worth 20 points. Every steal is worth 17 points. Every assist is worth 7 and every rebound is worth 4 or 5 or whatever. Then you'd have an equivalence. But it never happens that way. Default scoring doesn't happen that way, so it doesn't matter. Volume is important. If you're in a Yahoo league, default scoring means you don't get penalized for missing. So if you just keep shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting Cam Thomas and scoring 25 points a game, it's actually really useful. That's 25 fantasy points bang right there. In a category league, you get the 25 points, but you lose in the fact that he doesn't do anything else in the other areas, and you get a detrimental contribution in percentage, in field goal percentage. So in points leagues, when you're looking at players, if there's someone where you go, I don't know, because their efficiency might not be there or they don't do too much more, DeAndre Hunter, the points is what you want to focus on. If you just focus on points, again, this is not a blanket thing. It is not who scores the most real-life points is the best player. That's not how it works. But if you want a simple rule, if I just lean towards higher scorers, I will do better. Yes? Defensive value is downplayed. Like I just said, a block is worth 3 on Yahoo, 4 on ESPN. Yep. Dyson Daniels had the most steals we've seen in 30, 40 years. 3 steals a game. He got 9 points. 9 points. That's Draymond Green level of scoring output. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't move the needle. Is it important if someone gets 9 fantasy points versus someone averaging 1 steal getting 3 fantasy points? Like the 6 is useful, yes. But it can get trumped by someone being a random 15-point outing from Jameson Battle in March. So guys whose value is derived from efficiency, his value is derived from defensive stats, they're just not as good in a points league. I think that's relatively clear. One other point that I want you to note is that there is no perfect points league scoring system. That is not saying that points leagues are bad. But there'll be people who go, oh, well, if you make the tweaks, and I've done it in my league, we've actually got the right one that provides the right value. You don't, because it doesn't exist. There's no such thing as perfection in finding a scoring system. Whatever scoring system you have is the scoring system that everyone in your league plays by. Now, you can tweak it however you want to de-emphasize or emphasize other areas, but nothing is perfect, nothing is correct. You can have efficiency as a part of it. You can ramp up the value of defensive stats. You can take efficiency out. You can do whatever. But nothing is perfect. And then if you create all of these tweaks to it and then you want to consume content or hear other people talk or talk about your fantasy league, you're going to be on an island different to everybody, and nothing that anyone else says will refer to you, or nothing that you say has any relevance to anybody else. Then we've got the differences between sites like Yahoo and ESPN. On ESPN, there are penalties for missing shots. Every attempt is a negative. Every make, you get a positive. Cool. ESPN also puts 4 points for steals and 4 points for blocks. Yahoo does 3. And we're going to talk the differences between Yahoo and ESPN on specific players later on. But that's a difference. So efficiency, Cam Thomas, matters a little bit on ESPN. It's not as aggressive as the difference that it has versus category leagues, but it's still there. there is still a difference. So when you're comparing the difference between ESPN default, which I do like their ESPN point scoring system better than Yahoo's, but if you're looking to compare them, Yahoo is even more into volume, misses are not penalized, defense is more important on ESPN. 33% more important, that's where it sits. But still, we're in a lacking area. Dyson Daniels, for example, would have had 12 points from his steals last season on ESPN. 12 points, again, still significantly below average versus what a scorer provides. We're going to come back and talk about players that are better in category leagues, better in points leagues, and players that differ between the two major default formats, Yahoo and ESPN. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, 401ks, properties, or investments. If you don't have the full picture, how can you work out whether you're leaving money on the table? That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool. Brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. It's built for people with busy lives, Monarch is. If you put off organizing your finances because it's too difficult, you don't want to deal with spreadsheets, well, Monarch can be that thing for you. You can do the heavy lifting. And you can get in there and combine things for your joint accounts with your partner, track your spending, see where the money is going, see what your goals are, see how you get to those numbers. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That is 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONNBA. We're talking category leagues and points leagues and the differences here and valuing players in both types of fantasy formats. Let's just go in and we have these names, and I think you know a lot of these names, but again, one of the major reasons for this show is to talk about to the people who are like trying categories for the first time or trying points leagues for the first time and how you decipher where the value goes. And I would normally take Ja Morant in round 2, but why is that considered bad in categories or whatever it is, right? So I've got names here that I want to talk about who I believe, based on the way that I project things out, look better for category leagues. Now, if you are watching this on the video, I will explain it verbally, but the little side note I've got next to them means that when I'm looking at Yahoo's default rank, that default rank is basically the rank of that player if we were talking, and I've got it next to it. It says rank points or rank cat. If it says rank points, it means that their default ranking on Yahoo is sort of where they should sit for a points league. If it says rank cat, it means the way that it's defaulted on Yahoo for whatever reason is the spot that they should be drafted around about for a category league. I know, it's confusing. That's why that Yahoo X rank list is honestly, outside of setting values and letting us work out where value is in a draft, it's actually completely useless for valuing fantasy players. Because some of them are ranked as if they're playing in a points league. Some of them are ranked as if they're playing in a category league. And do you know how to decipher it? Some of you will, yeah, for sure. But not everyone will. So, Herb Jones, the big fella, Herbert, that's not a real word. Herbalife. He is much better in category leagues. And you're going to find the patterns here. Why is Herb better in category leagues? Well, steals. He doesn't score much. He gets steals. That's what he does. He's a steals guy. He blocks out of position shots pretty well. He's a steals guy. Herb Jones is better in category leagues and points leagues. His rank on Yahoo reflects his points league value. Draymond Green. I've already mentioned Draymond. He is better in category leagues because he doesn't score much. But he will block shots and get steals and get assists and rebound the ball. His rank on Yahoo indicates his value for points leagues. I think people would be surprised at this one, but Jordan Poole is a better category league player than he is a points league player. Now, it is going to depend. If you use ranking values like straight 9-cat rankings that tell you that Giannis is the 60th best player and Josh Hart was 11th, then maybe it doesn't tell you that. But as you all know, that's garbage. Jordan Poole, even last season, for me, using my Durant ranking system, which, by the way, on Basketball Monster, we've updated Durant to include more categories: 2-point percentage, 3-point percentage, offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, field goals made, field goals attempted, assist to turnover ratio. We've added all of those into the Durant system and double-doubles, which we didn't have last season. We just had the standard cats. That's all added. Jordan Poole was 55th. In points league, 77th. So why is that? Because Jordan Poole scores really well, obviously. 20 points a game last season. So why is Jordan Poole considered a better category league guy than points league guy? Well, the scoring is good, but Jordan Poole is an elite free throw percentage player. He's a pretty good assist guy. He got nice steals and he hits a ton of threes, which in a Yahoo default scoring system, hitting threes doesn't give you any extra benefit, which actually I don't mind, because you know what the benefit is of hitting a three? you get 3 points instead of 2. I don't mind that, but as a part of what the scoring is, I still think that Jordan Poole actually, again, this feels counterintuitive, but I believe he's a better category league guy than a points league player. Because he's not bad at both percentages. His field goal percentage could be iffy, but you know what you do in a category league? You can punt it. But he's elite at free throws. And that just doesn't matter in a points league. Hitting a free throw gives you 1 point. In a category league, it gives you 1 point, but it also boosts that free throw percentage up a lot. And that's why he is better in that area. His rank, Jordan Poole, on Yahoo, his default rank, indicates his category league value, I believe. So, when you're looking at Jordan Poole in a points league and you see where his X rank is, I'd probably knock it down a little bit from there. Tari Eason, another one, better in category leagues. He's better. His rank on Yahoo is a points league rank. And Keegan Murray, similarly. He's a guy that is not particularly strong in points league because he's low usage and doesn't score much, but he has good efficiency. The steals and blocks are pretty good. Not a bad rebounder, good three-pointers. He's someone whose rank on Yahoo indicates his points league value, but he is a better player in category leagues. So you make the adjustment to move him up or down depending on your league format. Some other guys who are better in categories. This one's, I think, pretty obvious. We've referenced him already multiple times, but the dustbuster himself, Dyson Daniels, is better in category leagues. Now, he is going to look insanely good in a standard 9-cat ranking system, which, of course, you can say it with me if you want, is bullshit. But he's better in category leagues and points. There'll be people this season, I am certain, that will take Dyson Daniels in round 2 and in round 3. And if you're not locked in, you might decide you want to do that in a points league, which would be crazy. I don't think he's even a top 50 points league player. Last season, he was 50th on the nose for points leagues, with Jalen Johnson missing half the season and Porzingis not there. All right, so he is better in category leagues than in points leagues, Dyson Daniels. Pretty straightforward. Cameron Johnson is a better category league player than points league player. He gets by with efficiency, volume of threes, great free throws. He's going to see his usage drop this season in Denver versus in Brooklyn. His ranking on Yahoo represents his category league value. I think Jalen Suggs is going to drop off a lot this season. His ranking on Yahoo reflects his category value. He's better in categories than points. His usage is going to cut he was like 27-28% last season. He's not hitting it. He's not getting anywhere near it. He is going to lose a ton. So don't be fooled by it. The Jedi, OG Anunoby, is a better category league player than points league player. Interestingly enough, the ranking that is ascribed to him on Yahoo at the moment seems to me to better reflect his value in points leagues and categories, which is a little bit weird. I don't know why that's the case, but it is. And another one here, the last one I'm going to talk about who are better in cats, is the thick hogsman Tobias Harris, who is better in category leagues than in points leagues. He provides contributions across the board with really strong percentages. He's not a huge volume guy, he's not a huge usage guy, and that drops him down for points leagues. His value on Yahoo is reflected around his overall category appeal. Let's talk about some guys who are the other way around. Better in points leagues. Anthony Simons is a tough one because I don't know if he's going to come off the bench. I don't know if he's going to remain in Boston or not. But I think that his value is better in points leagues than in category leagues. And his ranking on Yahoo reflects where I think his points league value is versus his category league. Why is he bad in categories? Steals and blocks, terrible. Bad field goals, atrocious rebounder. And he might not even get that many assists in Boston. Rowan Barrett Jr. is a guy that we can always have as one of the staples on this sort of a show. But he is always better in points leagues. He's a 20-point scorer who's like sort of alright at rebounds and sort of alright at assists. And percentages can both be issues and turnovers are issues. And threes volume is not huge. His ranking reflects his points league output. I think Keontae George could be seeing some improvement this season, but he could also be a bench player and be sort of lost in the shuffle a bit. But considering how atrocious his shooting has been, how there's a chance that his assist rate even drops further this season, but maybe he even scores 20 points a game, I think Keontae George's value in a points league is greater than where it sits in a category league. His ranking, Keontae George, is is reflected in Yahoo's rank, I think, closer to his points league value. They've got him around 100, which I think might be a bit early, but that ranking is more representative of what he can do in a points league, a la Jordan Clarkson, the man he's ostensibly replacing in that role for the Jazz, than he is in category leagues. I think last season's Rookie of the Year winner, Stephon Castle, is a much better points league guy than category league guy. We can see that in the numbers from last season. He has atrocious efficiency. He is not a high steals or blocks guy. His assist numbers aren't particularly high, and they're probably going to drop this season. He is just a guy that last season got by a lot on really high usage, which probably falls as well this season. But he's a guy whose value is better in points league. His ranking is the points league type ranking on Yahoo at the moment. And Jaden Ivey, similar to these guys. I think Ivey's got maybe a little bit more in him with some three-point shooting and even some assists versus George and Castle, for example. But he is, to me, still a better points league than category league guy, although his ranking, his X rank on Yahoo, Jaden Ivey, seems to reflect what the value could or should be in a category league versus all those other guys who seem to come out as points league players. We've got some more guys to talk about here as better in points leagues. And you know who one of the names is going to be. I included him last because he's been the thumbnail for this show 2 years in a row. I'm not going to make him that this time. We'll get to him in a sec. But Kyle Kuzma is one of those guys. What does Kuzma do well? Nothing. What does he do that's useful for fantasy in points leagues? Well, he can score pretty well, but subpar rebounds, assists, threes, steals, blocks, field goals, and free throws. It's the cornucopia of garbage. And that's exactly how I would describe Kyle Kuzma's game just in general. He is a better points league guy than category league guy, and if his usage bumps up, then he can be a top 70 points league guy. Maybe. But to get to category value there, it's tougher. His ranking on Yahoo reflects his points league value. Cam Thomas, a name we've mentioned already as well. What does he do? He might score 30 a game with 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal on 42%. Yeah, he might shoot 84 from the line. Will he get there that much? Don't know. But he's a better points league player. He might be 30 spots better in a points league than a category league. And that's with my Durant formula. In a standard 9-cat ranking, again, which is garbage, it'll put him way lower. DeMar DeRozan, I believe, is better in a points league. Yes, he upped some of his threes volume last season, but steals and blocks are non-existent. Some of his percentage stuff has fallen a little bit, but he's mainly going to get by on scoring. His ranking, DeMar DeRozan, I believe, is better reflected in the ranking, the pre-rank on Yahoo reflects what his points league value should or could be. I've got Ace Bailey in here because he is a high-profile rookie. He was the 5th pick in the draft. There's a chance that Ace Bailey has points league value this season. If we hear that Ace Bailey is starting, he's probably going to get enough shots to be useful. In a category league, it could be Kyle Kuzma-esque, and that's bad. In a points league, he might just do enough to score 16 a game with 5 rebounds that it's enough to actually be usable in a 12-team points. His ranking on Yahoo at the moment reflects his overall points league value, not his category value. And the last one there, of course, it's this guy. It's Paolo Banchero. He's ranked 12th on Yahoo. Now, I am not like others who suggest that Paolo is not a top 100 category league player. I will fight that to the end of time. But he's not the guy you take at 12. I'm not sure he's even the guy. If you want to take him at 12 in a points league, okay. I had the chance to take him, I think, at 16 in the points mock draft yesterday. I didn't, or 17. I could have, but I decided I wanted to show you how I value Josh Giddey. 5 times out of 10, I would take Paolo over him. But I just, again, part of how I do these early mocks is more of just highlighting certain things. Banchero last season was 17th in points leagues. He was 61st in category leagues. Big difference. Huge difference. His ranking very clearly, Paolo Banchero, reflects what his points league appeal is. They've got him at 12th. I think it's too high. A little bit, but 12th versus 17th, not a big deal. Not a big difference. Doesn't matter that much. It's not a huge issue. You're taking him at 12 in a category league, I think you're done. I think you've cooked your draft if you do that. I've got no problem with him in round 4, and if you wanted to sneak Paolo into the end of round 3, probably wouldn't, but I'm okay with it. But he's just not suited to it at this point in where his career sits. It can change. I'm not precluding that. But we're not there yet. Now I want to talk about the differences between Yahoo and ESPN scoring. Now, the deltas between the ranks on Yahoo and ESPN is not quite as large as the deltas between categories and Yahoo rankings, for example. But there are still scenarios because, again, ESPN penalizes you for shot attempts. It rewards you for makes, meaning that every time you miss, you're losing points. It also rewards defensive stats more. So, I think you'll be able to tell the sort of players that are different here. Ace Bailey, I think, is going to be a better player in Yahoo points than in ESPN points. Because Ace Bailey is going to miss a lot of shots. Ace Bailey is probably not going to get many assists or steals or blocks. And that will be reflected better in Yahoo. Benedict Mathurin should see a larger role this season. He should start. I'm not the biggest Mathurin guy, but he's going to score. And we know that scoring trumps everything for points leagues. More so Yahoo than ESPN. He's not going to be generating huge efficiency numbers from the field or any sort of really defensive contributions. So his ESPN value is a little bit down. So he's a better Yahoo guy than ESPN Mathurin. Rowan Barrett, similarly. The efficiency hit that he takes does get reflected on ESPN, but it doesn't on Yahoo. Kyle Kuzma. What's he bad at? Steals, blocks, field goals, free throws. What are the things that ESPN values more than Yahoo? Steals, blocks, field goals, free throws. And then, lastly, Steph Castle. Is a name that I think is going to be a better Yahoo guy than ESPN guy. Why? Again, bad field goals. Volume scoring is what got him value last season. And ESPN sort of downweights that in comparison to how it is on Yahoo. You see Castle shot 72 from the line, not very good. 43 from the field, not very good. 29% from 3, not very good. Only 1.2 threes a game, which ESPN rewards, not very good. 0.9 steals, not very good. 0.3 blocks, not very good. But the scoring numbers were enough to give him some Yahoo value, where he was 119th for the season. You can see the difference between his category league and Yahoo value there as well, but he was better in Yahoo than he was in ESPN points type formats. Lastly, what about the flip side? Well, I gather you're going to be able to guess this off the top just from everything that we've said. But who is better in ESPN fantasy points than in Yahoo fantasy points? Who's the guys that, when you're talking about comparing, because some people, again, will do a show that's a points league show. Or they'll write an article that's a points league article, or you'll see someone comment on Reddit. They'll talk about, well, in points leagues, do I take this guy here? And there might be 20 spots worth of difference between Yahoo and ESPN. Mikal Bridges, pretty useless, or just in general, but pretty useless for Yahoo fantasy points in general. But for ESPN, his efficiency is pretty solid. He's able to do a little bit more and his value pushes up. Now, is it largely because his value pushes up, or is it more because guys who were ahead of him on Yahoo get penalized more, therefore falling behind him? It's probably more of the latter. But whatever, his overall rank, or my projected rank for Mikal Bridges, is higher for ESPN formats. Peyton Pritchard is also that guy. Now, I think Pritchard is shaping up to be a pretty big sleeper this season. There is some worry with Pritchard and how the Celtics handle the end of the season. But Pritchard's value is heavily threes-based. Yahoo does not reward threes at all. I believe, off the top of my head, if you hit a 3 on ESPN, you're actually rewarded with 5 points. You get 3-pointer made bonus, you get a field goal made bonus, and you get the points. So I think you actually get like 6 points and then -1 for the attempt or something. But each 3 is worth 5. Again, don't really know why it is the case, but it is. And Pritchard's going to hit a lot of them. So he's not going to be a huge volume guy, but it's going to be heavily slanted towards 3-pointers. Dyson Daniels is better in ESPN than on Yahoo. Why? Steals. Instead of 9 points for 3 steals a game, you get 12 points for 3 steals a game. Yahoo rewards volume scoring, and Dyson doesn't really do that. So he's a better value option in ESPN points than in Yahoo points. Dante DiVincenzo is a better option in ESPN than in Yahoo. Why? He hits threes. He's usually a pretty good efficiency guy. Not some issues last season, but he hits threes. And the last one is Christian Braun. Christian Braun, last season, was unbelievable with efficiency. Like, literally, you look at it and you go, how? What? I'm still doing it, even though I saw it all season. And that is rewarded in ESPN versus Yahoo, because he's not a volume guy. He's a low-usage player. But he is rewarded because he doesn't lose points for missing shots, because he basically hit every shot in the world. So there's value in that. So he's one of those guys, Christian Braun, who is just better in ESPN points than in Yahoo points. And that, I think, is a good representation of points leagues, category leagues, the different points league formats, the scoring, and how we take it into consideration. Now, it's not an all-encompassing list. You can obviously go onto Basketball Monster, sync your league up, and see how your particular league, whether it's points or category, ESPN, Yahoo, whatever, sleeper, dreadful format, terrible format. And like I tweeted this out today, I'll continue to do it. I've got a platform here, I will continue to tell them and be a hater that how bad it is until they change it. On Sleeper, they've got an article, How to Play Fantasy Basketball, detailing the scoring. You know what that article says? It goes through and says, you can play category leagues, the most popular format of category basketball, of fantasy basketball. And it's the one that's the most challenge, and people love the challenge of it. Yet they refuse to offer it. So, you can work that out if you like. Whatever your format is, I think this is a good way to be able to decipher what information you're given. Whether it's hearing it from me, whether it's hearing it from another fantasy analyst, whether it's hearing it from somebody in your league, whether it's reading a Reddit post, whether it's reading Twitter, whether it's reading Instagram. Know what the person is referring to, and then know how you need to bend that, if necessary, to your league. I will cover everything on this show, will be 85% format neutral. Maybe if you're a points league player and you think that's not true, maybe it's 80% format neutral. There will be things that are specific for one of the two. And I will be very clear to mention that stuff, I think, as much. And I do lean category leagues because it's still the most popular format and it's the most in-depth and more stuff to actually discuss. But I don't turf away points leagues. I don't discount points leagues. So what I talk about covers it all. But you have to be able to understand how to differentiate it to have the most success. You might not want to have the most success. You might want to have the most fun. And that's okay. But I would argue that if you're having some wins, it probably adds to the fun. Or at least understanding what's going on, going, man, why is my team so bad? I took Paolo at City was 12. I took him 15. I thought it was a great deal. And then it's a category league. I had to get Paolo in there somewhere. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.